was great. This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing it. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Hey, I think this was great. So a couple of things before we bring it to the conclusion session. All right. So one thing to me, and I, I'm speaking from a little bit of my experience of traveling the roadmap from the ideation and innovation translation to commercialization to making an impact. I successfully put together the two companies, and they have made a significant impact in the healthcare industry. So without going into the details, my 2 cents are that consumers and the advocacy defines the market. It influences the market. And the market influences the investment. And the investment influences the commercialization, which in turn creates the impact and the economic as well as the societal benefits. So I think it's a teamwork, and we learned today that PFAS is a systemic problem. It's a problem that has its own cycle, and we need to look into, am I still on? Okay. And we need to look into the various point of the technology intervention, but we need to create the advocacy and the awareness in a way so that it can influence the policies and the regulatory component. Because without coming out as a community of stakeholders and providing the complete spectrum from the advocacy to the technology validation, commercialization, investment, and the return of the investment for industry to keep up to date to the evolution of the challenges, but also meeting the needs, we cannot make a societal impact. And that's exactly why we put together, after the 2 major meetings last year, first the CTR workshop on April 24, 2025, and then looked into the PFAS summit with NJDEP. And we followed with the STRIP focus group on the PFAS with more than 56 members in the 3 groups. And then we developed the white paper and the basic theme of the NJPFAS Consortium. This is not the right website, Dan. Put NJPFAS-PIC.org. So we are very pleased to launch this website with you, which has been referred several times since this morning. And I would like to invite some of the founding members and the board of directors of the NJPFAS-PIC. Siavash Sajade, you please join me here. Siavash. Paige Jacob, PFAS Chemistry Program Manager at Batal. Paige, are you here? Okay. Paula, come back again. Richard Calvi. One of the great friend and the advocate of the technology, innovation, translation, and partnerships, Michael Jick, Senior VP for Research at Rutgers University, and our Vice Co-Chair of the NJIT Board of Trustees and the former President and CEO of Mott MacDonald, North America, Nick DiNicolo. So thank you so much for joining this afternoon. And I'm so grateful for your advocacy in putting together the industry, university, government, community partnerships in order to create the pathways and the resources to address this critical challenge of PFAS detection, destruction, for decontamination and the remediation. So I would like to go around the table and ask you to please introduce yourself and how do you see the critical importance of addressing the PFAS challenges and your role in the PFAS Consortium. The second thing, that how do you see that these type of the consortium, which is first of a kind in the PFAS area, and I heard a lot today from Senator Greenstein and Assemblyman Swain that they are so excited that we finally have this community forum. And they told me again and again that they look forward to hear more the innovative ideas coming from this particular consortium. And they also offered to be in the next board of directors meeting and so on. But I would like to hear from you as we are officially launching this particular consortium with 4 committed universities, Princeton, Rutgers, NJIT, and Stevens. And I believe that the Montclair is going to be joining soon. And about 15 companies, including Veolia, Langen, AECOM, and Battelle, consulting companies like CDM Smith, and the municipality and the semi-government utilities, Ridgewood Water. And more importantly, that I'm very excited about with Jersey Water Works as the complete spectrum from the advocacy to the technology, innovation, translation. So tell us your perspective that how do you see this consortium as an asset and your perspective and role to serve the cause. Mike?
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for inviting me. I'll go first, which is an unusual thing with a last name like Zwick. You rarely go first in line. So my name is Mike Zwick. I'm the Senior Vice President for Research at Rutgers University. I'm a human geneticist by training. I'm a professor of genetics. So I'm really not an expert in PFAS per se, but I'm the Chief Research Officer at a very large university, a very large research university. And I want to speak just for a moment about research universities like NJIT, like Rutgers, like Princeton, and the other partners of this consortium. You know, we have a tripartite mission. We perform teaching, we pursue research, and we provide public service. And our teaching and research are mutually reinforcing and interdependent, and they inform the public service that we provide. And so I think at universities, we talk a lot, we think often a lot about our academics and our teaching, and we think a lot about our research. I really want to focus on the public service mission of the university, which I think this is where the translation and work on issues like PFAS really are critical. And so when I think about this problem, and I think of this as my role as Chief Research Officer, there's really 2 key functions I have to carry out. The first is, how do I get all the great ideas from Rutgers, or how do we get all the great ideas from NJIT out into the community? So last year we had 200 notices of inventions, we had 153 patents, we licensed 100 technologies, we have about 10 startups a year. My job is to make that whole process as easy and get the ideas out there. And I view it kind of like the lottery. I want as many tickets as possible, and I want every good idea to get out into the community. And this is quite a broad area of research. It's not just focused on PFAS, but we want every good idea out there. And when we think of addressing large problems like this, there's not going to be simple solutions, and there are going to be lots of different ways that one might have to look at the problem. The second thing I think that we have to do as chief research officers is we have to make the university accessible to industry, to the state, to partners, and help them find who are the people at the university who actually have the great ideas. One of the things we've implemented at Rutgers is we're now using AI to search our grant portfolio. So we have more than 1,600 PIs. I have more than 4,500 grants in this portfolio. when companies or the state come to us and say, we have this problem, we can now use AI, search a grant portfolio, and figure out who are the people at Rutgers that we can connect you with that might be able to help give you that great idea that would be the beginning of a commercial solution to a problem. So I think the importance of the research universities that are part of this consortium is to do exactly these two functions. Get all our best ideas out into the community and help you identify the problems that you have and see if we can come up with solutions for them.
Thank you. Rich?
Okay. Pretty much what he said. That was great. You captured everything. So Rich Calby, I'm the Director of Operations for Ridgewood Water. We're a public government-owned utility up in Northwest Bergen County, serving 4 communities, about 61,000 people. Been with the utility for about 11 years, living the nightmare of PFAS, and making huge investment building and reimagining the entire system all over again, 100-year-old system reinventing itself. I'm here today because Nick DeNicola made me an offer I couldn't refuse. But seriously, I met Dr. Dewan last year at this event. Really piqued my interest. For years, Ridgewood was dealing with this problem. And as I mentioned in my early discussion this morning, we felt like we were on an island alone. The public didn't know much about what PFAS was. They were looking for help. They were even going to medical professionals to ask how harmful this would be to their children, and doctors didn't even know what PFAS was. Nobody heard about it. So at that time, we kind of got very involved with policy and trying to get out to find help. I lobbied in Trenton, talked to senators at the time, and some of them were here today, and even back then, they didn't even know what PFAS was. They were hyper-focused on things like lead, the Water Quality Accountability Act, and academia was not even caught up on the topic, but now we're here. So taking advantage of the fact that I was sat in this room last year at the same time and hearing what I heard then and what I heard today, which was truly amazing, we're at a point where now we could fast forward, take all this information and join everybody at the table together as one group, one collaborative, and solve this problem. And what NJIT is doing with these other universities and what industry is doing to help fund that research is going to avoid this problem for the future. And repeat what I said this morning, we can never let this happen again. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Siavash Sazadeh, and I'm a Senior Technical Director at Veolia North America, and my job is in the strategy and innovation team. I guess, Adam, for us, there are 3 important factors that encourage us to be here, and those are equally important. I think the first part is that our colleagues are in forefront of this battle. They are engaged with community, regulator, engineer. They are implementing right away. And for every dollar that we want to spend, this is investment of a generation one time. We want to make it wise. We want to make it optimized. We want to make it best technology. That's one side of it. The second side is that the Veolia also is a technology provider. So the innovation, this is a hotspot for innovation, and it comes from here, and that could be an interesting objective for Veolia and an environment that we could help. And the third, which is equally important to us, is that this is an ecosystem for community engagement. In fact, Veolia in the past has made operator certification online for everybody, knowing that with this opportunity, there would be underrepresented community that they can enjoy it. We see PFAS in the same way. Our colleagues right now are looking for solutions for the small community, larger community, and I think this is for us a community engagement, whether it's operator training, whether it's a student, platform, researcher, and engaging with the community in higher level to increase the awareness. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Paula Figueroa Vega again, Jersey Waterworks Collaborative. I am here to be a bridge from this collaborative to the Jersey Waterworks Collaborative and ensure that as much information is available in a digestible way to people who are making decisions. creating a platform so that people can share and innovate together at the policy level and to learn. I am here because Dr. Dewan is very persistent, and thank you for the invite several times. And Rich Calby is a great connector also. So this is, an extension of our network, and I think it's a win-win situation for both of the collaboratives to work together on PFAS.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nick DeNicolo. I'm former president, CEO of Mott McDonald. I graduated from this university back in 1973. Got my master's here as well. And I've been in professional practice for just about 50 years. I did retire about 4 years ago. I like to say I'm rewired now because, time keeps me busy, really busy. But, I'm here really representing, I guess, NJIT, because I'm on its board of trustees, but I'm really here to represent all of you and all that you go through, because I've been through quite a bit of this. I mean, I go back to the early 80s when all of a sudden it wasn't PFAS, it was volatile organic substances. And here we are dealing with tetrachloroethylene, trichloroethylene, and we were talking about technologies. What do? Well, we put stripping towers in. And yes, we use carbon even back then. And when we put carbon in more for the heavier molecular weight substances, we were probably taking care of PFAS at the same time. But I bring that back because I can remember working on so many different projects and challenges. But then to be here today, to me, and I'm here to be an advisor to the consortium. But I got to tell you, I do this because it's exciting, and I get humbled by just listening to some of you. I mean, Brent over there, I tell you, just listen to him, it kind of brings me back down to the, 70s when I was kind of doing what you did, but not as effective as you doing it now. But to me, we talk about PFAS, and we call it forever chemicals, right? The strong bond between the carbon and the fluorine. Well, I look at this group, this is the bond right now that we have. This strong bond is what's going to take those forever chemicals and make them never chemicals. So I'll leave it with that. And to me, it's humbling to be here with such really passionate people. Thank you.
Thank you. So a couple of things. The first of all, I'm so grateful to all of you, and particularly the founding board of directors who's sitting over here, but there are more that who are not on the stage today. But they were in the morning, like Katie Ingram. She's one of the founding board of directors, and NJDEP is a member. So NJPFAS-PIC is established on the three major pillars. And let me share that around the mission of the NJPFAS-PIC, and you can look at more detailed information from this particular website, which is still a work in progress. We are putting more information every day on it from our partners, and we are having more and more partners, every month. The last two partners who joined last month were Battelle and CDM Smith as the platinum membership, which is the top membership over there. So the three pillars that we have, the first one is accelerating the innovation translation from ideation to impact. And that is basically, we saw today the research perspective from the innovation of the technologies in translation, but we also heard from the industry panel with Siavash and Charles and Brent and other people over there, that what is their value proposition is. Because the ideas can be generated at a very large scale, but not every idea is going to get through the translational pathway and be able to make an impact. So the value proposition and the benefit to each of the partner who are working together with time, treasure, and talent in order to make that particular translation from the innovation stage, if I could quote the technology readiness levels, say 3 or 4, towards the validation and pre-manufacturing and pre-commercialization stage 7, 8, and then the larger scale adoption, which is 9, 10. It is a risky proposition. It is a proposition that requires a lot of hands on the table, a lot of expertise, advising, and mentoring on the table, and it requires a lot of resources and compliance and the tests, in terms of regulatory compliance and the other requirements that eventually gets the technology in the hands of the user or the consumers and towards the community impact. We can't do it alone. And none of us is trained to do the whole spectrum. That's the thing is, whether it is industry-based inventors and innovators, or whether these are academia-based, our faculty or students as the inventors, none of us are trained to go through the entire spectrum of TRL level 1 to 10, because we can't do it. So the only way we can make it happen is coming together on the same table and see the benefit of spending our time, talent, and treasure, that whether it is worth doing it or not. So that's why we brought all the sectors representation to the PFAS Board of Directors, and we are empowering completely all functions, operations, vision, strategic directions, and the decision to be made by the Board of Directors over there. So they represents the community, they represents government, they represents the semi-government utility companies like Ridgewood Water, and we need to share our data, we need to share our wisdom, we need to share our expertise and the resources together, and more importantly, we need to share Rich Calby's brain, how the heck he got $150 million for one investment, and how we can duplicate that. So, and then there are resources like NJDEP, and it is great that we had from legislation to the government or the federal agency like NJDEP, and a senator and assemblywoman, with us. So it creates the entire very strong partnership ecosystem. And I would underline, without the ecosystem, you cannot accelerate the technology or the non-technology, innovation, because reaching out to the community for advocacy and messaging system is an innovation by itself. And the people don't realize that, but I mentioned just a few minutes ago that it is the advocacy and the consumer that drives the market. Otherwise, they are just numbers. If there is no demand, why the industry is going to invest into it, and why any particular angel investor or venture capitalist is going to invest into it if they do not see that there is a market, there is a need, and there is a pathway to address that particular market need. And then again, if I could borrow, Amy and Lauren pointed out, availability, affordability, right? And looking into whether that can be scaled up. And the time is a critical factor, again, because if people don't see any particular action, then they lose that particular enthusiasm, and they lose the need to invest into it, because then they say, well, you can't do it. I mean, we can't do everything. But the time is now, right? And the time is now, and this is very, very important. I was very much encouraged by the senator who asked, and her chief of staff asked me 3 times, can PFAS-PIC become a portal for the community voice? And I said, this is the 3rd pillar. So when I was saying 3 pillars, the first pillar is the acceleration of the innovation translation to the community. The second one is we have heard today, and we heard at the last PFAS summit and so on, we had tremendous amount of the rich data by every level, at every level, from the municipality and treatment or water treatment at Ridgewood facility, or any other test and validation in the workforce development, but also when at the community level or the consumer level, they have those tests done. But these nuggets are not connected anywhere. You know, I was talked by, I think he is still here or not, TBLS group, that they have like thousands and thousands of case studies, but they are buried somewhere. So we need to share the data so that we can use it not only for the advocacy and the community messaging system, because there is nothing more convincing than looking into the data and the analytics. Some people say, well, this is a large amount of the data, how you can get it together. So I'm going to borrow the approach that Michael Dwix just sent. We have the AI tools today. We need to use the tools in order to find the high-level abstract, but also the detailed correlation of what works and what the need is and how to connect the innovation or the ideas to serve those particular needs, and what is the pathway in order to make it as an acceleration from ideation to community. So the time is now. So that the second pillar is to share the data, find the wealth of the information to drive the first pillar and the third pillar, which I'm going to talk about it, but also use that for the workforce development, training, and the workshop. And that's why, you know, this type of the workshop is a part of the, you know, our mission to create the advocacy, to help, and to bring the partners together and say, you know, we were talking with Peter Jaffe and somebody else over there on the side that people have this large consortium, and everybody over there, are they competing against each other? And the answer is no, because the problem we already saw is so wide and so deep that we all have certain ideas that we could create the complementary solutions or participate in those larger scale solutions which can be scaled. So there is everything, you know, every resources, and again, is that all hands on the deck are needed. And that's why we do need it. So the third pillar that I'm talking about in just a couple of more minutes, and I will bring it to a close. Third pillar is definitely to drive the entire societal impact through advocacy and the awareness and collecting the data from 2 and 1 to influence the policy and the regulatory components. We have some, and what I learned today and what I had witnessed in the last PFAS summit, it is undoubtedly NJIT is leader, the New Jersey is the leader in the nation with respect to creating proactive standards, regulations, but also creating test beds for those pilot studies like the Ridgewood Water or Langen, you know, is working out on the labs. Battelle told me that they will open up their labs and the test facilities for the partnership projects, and so is Veolia. So we have a lot of resources over here. What we need to do is create a solid project and the plan, not only for the technology, innovation, translation, but also the advocacy and influencing the policies and the regulation which are needed in order to continue working and evolving that ecosystem. So with that particular aspect, I would invite all of you to visit this website, consortium website. And what we are going to do, because a lot of people today asked about whether they can have access to the presentation. And I hope we will ask the permission from all the presenters again, that if we could put them into the shared drive folder and then provide the access and the summary of the discussions through this consortium website. We are going to create on the homepage a live community forum. Sean is telling me that he got more than 40 questions. Not all the questions we were able to answer today, but we know it is time tagged to which panel the questions were asked. So we're gonna create some editing over there. We will create a database of the questions, and we will reach out to the presenters for asking that how do they respond, and then we will provide Q&A on the community forum. And we would invite you to visit that. You will see the follow-up emails. We have your email addresses. So please don't put it into the spam. Open it up. And there is a wealth of information over there. And we would invite you to respond or post your thoughts and ideas on the community forum, the website, because I have been asked 3 times, as I mentioned today, by Senator, that they wanted to have the ideas from this particular portal. The last 2 things, Senator is so impressed that she said that she would like to join the next board of directors meeting. So I am going to follow up on that one. The second thing, we are formally launching it today, but we have been working behind this particular concept for more than 2 years, and Nick knows about that. I'm very happy to announce, I'm not going to announce the detail, but I'm so grateful to the Clean Water Fund and Emily Defend Our Health that as we are meeting today, 3 p.m. today, a first consortium partnership proposal for $362,000 was submitted. That's our first. And we are working on the second one also. So I think that the people have started seeing that there is a need and there is a reason for them. And there is a value proposition that will come back to them as the return of their investment, whether that is time, talent, or treasure. So with that, if you have any particular question, I'll wait for a couple of more minutes to any of our board of directors. Just use the QR code one last time, and I would look from Sean. Give us your feedback. What you liked today, what you didn't like today, or what you would like this PFAS consortium to do. By the way, on that PFAS workshop, that particular page, if you click, there are buttons. You can see the list of attendees. You can see the showcase abstracts. You can see the biographical sketches. There's a whole sort of, if you could just scroll it down, the whole wealth of information over there, and we will add more to it.
So Adam, I wanted to add.
Nope.
So here we go.
There you go. Take this one.
Yeah, I wanted to add one observation. While I said I'm not a PFAS researcher, this actually is very personal for me. Along with being a geneticist, I'm a former naval officer. I had 25 years service. I'm a former commander in the Navy. I'm a Desert Storm vet, Iraq war vet. 35 years ago, I was training 90 guys on board a ship in the Persian Gulf to fight fires and flooding, and I was responsible for enormous tanks of AFFF, which is we talked about today. This is, I think, still being used on Navy ships years later. So it is a very personal thing. I have one observation from today's meeting, which is that we are very reactive to these sorts of compounds. That we're reacting to the fact that these compounds are in our drinking water. One thing I think in the innovation space is we ought to try to become more proactive. And I think, Atam, you said this.
Yeah.
How do we assess new materials and new substances before they become a problem? And in the life sciences, we do this with some success. We've done it since the 70s. But I think in the material science space, we probably don't. And I think if this group could actually change the standards or change the approach for how we investigate new materials and identify problems earlier, we won't be stuck with cleaning this problem up multiple years after it's caused enormous chaos. And so I think that is actually an innovation opportunity for this group also, that we could really lead, set a standard, and get the federal government, get companies to actually invest in research and assessing materials and the safety and potential impact
Yeah.
much earlier than we're doing
Yeah.
right now.
And I know you are absolutely right. In diagnostic radiology or in medicine, we say the personalized preventive medicine or the healthcare leads to the precision medicine. So those are the 3 Ps. Prevention is better than cure. And that can only be done by the proactive healthcare management. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any question, Sean?
So
Yeah.
we have comments, not exactly a question right now.
Okay. Last chance, question, comment, anything that in the QR code you can send? Yeah, okay, I will repeat it if you want.
Can we talk about scaling up technologies?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we scale up technologies? Any ideas?
Want me to answer that one?
What are the challenges?
This is work.
Okay, this is working.
On the first challenge, I couldn't talk because the microphone wasn't working. I think that, you heard today, right? We listened to so many people today, and the common technologies today, let's face it, was carbon, absorptive, ion exchange, right? And membrane RO. Then to scale up new technologies, then we heard about who's the market. We heard from Melonia that, perhaps at 10 gallons a minute, it might be something that you could deploy for leachate, removal. So there's places for all that. To me, I think when I look at these plants that are being designed and built today, I'm not talking 10 MGD, I'm talking 100 MGD plants, right? And the amount of carbon that we need, and to try to get empty bed contact time, I think part of the technology is to look at all the pretreatment. And what do we have to do with the pretreatment? You might think it's old school technology, but how do we do that to scale up the longevity, the sustainability of what we have? So, Michelle, I think that if we just say, well, gee, how are we ever going to scale this up? But it starts someplace. So I think by having the innovation and coming up with, the breakthroughs, whether it's in a pilot plant or not, it starts there. And it may be many years. As we're talking right now, we're talking about scalability. We didn't talk much about it today, but while we're spending so much time, effort, and energy to deal with PFAS, around the corner, we're going to be talking about microplastics, right? Micro, nano, and it's in all our systems. And, the innovation starts now in piloting and a lot of research and applied research.
Mhm.
Some of it will never be scalable. Many of it won't be scalable, but the technology might be deployed in other areas. So I tip my hat to everyone that's out here working on innovation, okay? Granted, many of it will not be scalable, but in totality, it'll help deal with not only PFAS, but other emerging contaminants that we're going to be confronted with as years. When I started, we were dealing with parts per million. Now we're dealing with, in the trillions, and I don't know what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. But if we don't keep dealing with research today, applied research, the utilities, the consultants, and academia, we're never going to be able to deal with that. So what we need to do is scale up our innovation. And we scale up our innovation, we'll be able to scale up, physical plant and technologies to deal with the issues.
Just to add that when you look into the translational pathway, the scaled validation, not just scale up studies, but can you scale and validate that scaled up solution is still affordable and available and commercializable, right? That is the part of the TRL 7-8. So you're not going to get to the commercialization because that's the part where the larger investment is required in terms for venture capitalists and other things over there. It may be 10 million to hundreds of million dollars before you do the larger scale manufacturing of that particular technology and then distribution of that particular thing. So that is a part of the process of the translational research. That's why we create at NJIT and also at the other universities, all of us are trying to create the culture of innovation with respect to the fundamental, applied, and translational research. You will see the federal agencies in the current administration is looking into like the technology, innovation, and partnership directorates of the NSF, but you are seeing everywhere the ARPA-H and NIST and the DOE. Everybody is talking about, tell us how you're gonna solve the problem and how you're gonna create an impact to the market. The moment you say impact to the market, that is the scaled, validated solution. Okay, we will bring it to close with these three announcements. The number one, we have cookies and the refill of the cookies are outside and the refill of the coffee, etc., is over there. So please, enjoy yourself with some cookies. And the translational research showcase with this 30 great companies and the organization, including the one that have traveled all the way from Canada over here at number one. So interact with them. I know that people are already interacting and they have been interacting, but until 5 o'clock, we still wanted to spend another hour of interaction and the networking and looking into what is out over there. The second is that those who signed in for the New Jersey Water Association Professional Water Training Credit, you have to sign out to be eligible to receive the credit. And my friend Rick is standing, at the back over there. You need to, when on your way out, you need to sign off with Rick so that you can get a proper credit. Those who signed up in the morning for the attendance using the QR code, you have another QR code that is on the table of registration table outside for your sign out attendance so that we can send you the digital NJIT PFAS detection and decontamination badge certificate along with the 6 credit hours of what is called PDH, Professional Development Hours. So I thank you again with the depth of my heart that you came and made this workshop so successful. And I strongly believe and hope that each one of you got something out of it. It was worth your time, it was worth your travel, and it was worth and understanding this ecosystem that we are developing in the state of New Jersey with all of the stakeholders group. And I hope that you will continue to support and participate in the future activity. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.